Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Mountains We Climb. This is a series where we dive into people's journeys of overcoming challenges and adversity in their lives so we can understand what is really possible and what it really takes. I'm your host, Jordan Kilpatrick Smith, and in this week's episode, we'll be joined by Angela Brown and explore her journey through a lifetime of chronic illness. Angela is an author and certified life coach who helps women with chronic illness to change their lives. Angela, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So where does your story start, Angela?
My story starts actually with the day I was born. I was born with a syndrome called Klippel-Fiel syndrome, which causes a lot of congenital abnormalities. I had congenital abnormalities of my spine. I had 3 holes in my heart. I had a lot of other things. And also that syndrome causes later on in life to have other illnesses. But you can't really prepare for them. It's not curable. It's just when the illness happens, you just go with it and try to fix it. Like for instance, I have a kidney disease, which is part of the syndrome. So that we just have to take care of it as it comes. And later on, I found out I had a lung disease. So you have to deal with that. So it's a very rare syndrome, but it causes a lot of other challenges.
And what's it called again?
Klippel-Fiel syndrome.
Okay.
KFS is the short form.
Okay. I'm going to put a link to that in the description for everyone listening. So in case you want to check out more about that, that'll be in there.
Okay.
Okay. So day you're born, that's right from the get-go. You got 3 holes in the heart. You got spinal deformities. Where does your story go from there? How does that?
From there, so I came to Canada at age 8, and immediately I went to the hospital for sick children. Had a lot of tests run and things like that, and they told my mom that I needed surgery like as soon as possible. They said if I'd come to Canada 6 months later, I wouldn't make it. I wouldn't have made it within 6 months later. I was 8 years old. I weighed 38 pounds, and I was like 3 feet tall. Because having the heart condition from birth, it does stunt your growth, as well as the Klippel-Fiel syndrome causes you to have like a short neck or a low hairline. So that's a total of what that happened. So I had open heart surgery at age 8. And then I had another open heart surgery at age 9. From there, I went through life. I had some other congenital problems that I needed to have surgery for, which I did.
Can you tell me about those?
So I had like a groin hernia. So I had to have surgery for that. And later in life, I started having very bad pains in my neck. I couldn't move my neck. And I had a lot of back pains and things like that. So I went and saw a neurologist who did a lot of tests. And he said that I needed a surgery in my neck because I had like a missing vertebrae. And so he took bone from my hip and put in my neck. And then he said I'd also need back surgery. But obviously they couldn't do both of them at the same time. So I had neck surgery. I had a neck brace for 8 weeks, and then according to the doctor that everything would be fine, but it wasn't fine because I still had a lot of pain, and I had a lot of other syndromes that developed that I didn't have before.
After the surgery.
Yeah, I say the surgery was like a 50-50. %, right? Because some things that I didn't have, I started experiencing, and things that I had, like I was feeling electricity going through my body every time I turned my neck. That was gone. So, and that was like one good thing, because who wants to feel that all the time, right?
So you spent your entire life just having like jolts of electricity every time you moved your neck?
No, it didn't start at birth. It started like in my 20s.
Dang.
Yeah. So I started slow, like you just feel this shock, but I didn't take notice of it. It was like maybe 10 years later that it really got really bad, and I told the doctor, and he said there was actually a name for it. I don't remember what it's called right now. And I couldn't write. Like I would try to write, and it would be just like scribbles. And I couldn't hold the pen properly to write anyways. And yeah, it was just and all the problems that I was having, they kept telling me, it's from your neck, it's from your neck. So that's why I had to have the neck surgery.
And so for this surgery, they took like just a chunk out of your hip and were like, this is now a new vertebra, and they like separated your spine and just slapped it in there. Like how do you even do that?
That's a very good question. I had the option of using my own bone, calf bone, or artificial bone. The problem with the calf bone and the artificial bone is like you can have rejection, right? So you always have that chance of rejecting, and there's rejection medication that you have to take for that as well. So I thought it was safer to just use my own bone, especially since the doctor told me that my hip would be healed within 8 weeks, which didn't happen. Later on, when I was continuing I started having hip pain, and my hip would swell up sometimes when I walked. And I went to the pain management clinic at Sunnybrook, and he did a whole bunch of tests again. And he told me, the bone doesn't heal that fast. And this was like maybe 3-4 years later. And I was, well, what do you mean? Doctor said it would be healed in 8 weeks. He said, no, it takes up to 10 years for the bone to heal.
That's a very different timeline.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what was that like for you to hear that?
Sorry. Yeah, I felt like I'd been misled. Definitely, right? Maybe I would have made a different choice if I'd been told I was going to take 10 years for my hip to heal. But the doctor said that I would probably have been better to have gone with the calf bone. He said it was low risk of rejection anyways. Because having your own bone can cause a lot of other problems too. So now I have bursitis in my hip, and my hip swells up. Like when I walk, if I walk too long, my head swells up, and also a lot of pain. So yeah, that's another thing I have to deal with, along with everything else.
So the shorter neck, missing a vertebra, holes in your heart, surgery at 8-9 years old, open heart surgery to have that repaired. We got lung disease, kidney disease, now the neck surgery to fix the neck, which then led to bursitis in the hip and a very long recovery for the bone in the hip. Anything else? It's already quite a lot.
Well, later in life, I did develop, but that was another story. So what happened was in December of 2012, I had a car accident.
Right.
Someone T-boned my car, and I broke my neck. But in the beginning, when I first went to the hospital after the accident, because told my daughter that the witnesses said basically car hit me. My car spun around 2 times, and then it landed in the traffic post. Now, all I remember is being the sound of the hit, and then waking up with the car in the traffic post.
Right.
I was kind of like out of it, and I had a passenger, and she was complaining that she was having pain in her chest. And I thought that she might be having a heart attack. So I reached for my phone and I called 911. And then they said that someone had already called 911. Then I tried to open the door of the car, but it wouldn't open. And trying to turn off the car wouldn't turn off. So we were basically stuck in there till the paramedics came. In the meantime, during that time, I realized that I can't turn my neck at all. The pain was excruciating. And I said, okay, I'm just going to sit here until somebody comes. Hopefully the car doesn't blow off or anything. That was my thought in my head. So the paramedics came, they took me out, they put me on the brace on.
Sorry, Angela, can I ask you a question here?
Sure.
When you were in the car there, and you've just been T-boned, you can't turn your neck, you're in excruciating pain, the passenger next to you is saying that her chest is hurting, you're worried, okay, maybe she's having a heart attack. Mm-hmm. What was that moment like for you?
Scary. Very scary. I don't think I'd ever been that scared regarding everything else that had happened to me. I was literally so scared. And I was more scared for my passenger than I was to myself, because if she's having a heart attack, God forbid, I don't want her to die. And I just kept saying, okay, calm down, calm down, calm down. I tried to help her, but I couldn't move because my neck was hurting. So there was nothing I could do to help. Paramedics didn't take very long to come though, because they said they received several calls.
Right.
And one thing I never really spoke about was the person that hit me got out of her car and started yelling at me, telling me that I hit her. Other people, past witnesses, were trying to help me get out of the car, trying their best to open the door, trying to smash the glass or something, trying to do whatever they could to get me out. And I think finally somebody told her, you know what, you sit to be quiet right now, because the good thing is that everybody's alive. So why don't you just be quiet, let the cops deal with it when they get there. So when I got to the hospital, the doctor ordered an x-ray, and he looked at the x-ray and he said, you're fine. Took off the neck brace, threw it in the garbage, and told me I could go home. By that time, my daughter had arrived, and she thought, no, how could she go home? She can't even move, and she's in pain. He didn't even give me pain medication, nothing. So my daughter picked up the mask, the brace from the trash can, and she's like, Mom, you know what? I think you should keep this on. So I thought, yeah, that's fine. I'll keep it on. Next day, I went to my family doctor, and he gave me pain medication and told me to continue wearing the brace for a couple of weeks. And then I started physiotherapy and massage therapy.
And in that moment where you're at the hospital, you've just had this traumatic experience, the doctor does an x-ray, and it sounds like he wasn't super listening to you about what was actually going on, right?
No.
What's that like to be, trying to be heard, like, hey, I've got this going on, and the person who's supposed to be there to help you is not actually listening to you. Right.
And for several weeks, doctors kept telling me it was whiplash and the pain would go away. Oh, massage therapy will help you. Physiotherapy will help you. So fast forward 6 months, I'm still having pain. But when I move my neck, I'm still having excruciating pain. So my family doctor said, okay, I'm gonna send you to see a neurologist. And lucky for me, she had a cancellation that I was able to get in within a couple of days. Otherwise, it would have been a few weeks. And she called me 3 days after I had the MRI, and she told me to go check myself in the hospital, that my neck was not stable. Didn't even know what that meant. Tried to ask her what that meant. She was trying, I don't know if she was trying to be evasive, but I know she was trying not to tell me what the real thing was. She just wanted to get me to the hospital.
And how did that, what was that like for you from your perspective? I
was scared because I said, okay, I got to get to the hospital as fast as I can. And I was just like, what's going on? Because all she would tell me was, your neck's not stable. And I didn't know what that meant at all. Like, your neck's not stable, what does that mean? So at the hospital, the neurosurgeon told me that my neck was broken and that I would need surgery.
So you just went six months, right?
Yeah.
6 months through pain, basically constantly. If anyone's ever had a neck injury, I think they can relate in some capacity to this, right? A little neck injury sucks. A broken neck, I imagine, is not pleasant at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you were told, you know what, you're fine. It's just some whiplash. So you get to the hospital, you have a broken neck. In that moment, did you know, or did you think that you had a broken neck throughout this? Or
No. Okay. That was not a thought to me. I don't even know what I thought. I just thought there was something wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get the doctors to listen to me.
Yeah.
I Googled whiplash, symptoms of whiplash. How long is it supposed to take? Things like that. What kind of exercises can you do to relieve the pain? And, I tried everything, ice, heat, anything acupuncture. It wasn't getting any better.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So when he said, your neck is broken, I guess it kind of made sense that why I was having so much pain.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to, and he was like, oh, you're going to have surgery tomorrow morning. And my mouth just dropped. I'm like, what? You know, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Totally crazy.
Where was the break?
At the base of the skull. And basically he said like this was the skull and the bone's attached and the bone was like that. So it was off the skull.
Okay, so for the people who are listening to the audio, we've got, instead of it being like flush against it and being flat, like one end of it is kind of crooked off of it.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at your C1 vertebra, is that right?
C2. C1 and C2.
Okay, so for just to explain a little bit of anatomy for people, your skull rests on the top vertebra, your C1, and your brainstem comes right through that. And so to have those two vertebrae broken not only puts you at incredible risk for quadriplegia, it also means that you can't really move your head at all. Like, so I imagine, yes, motion was incredibly not happening. Yeah. Side to side was not happening, like a no.
No.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like you said with your anatomy, right? That C1 and C2 is where it allows your neck to turn, like you said. So if those are broken, like, or injured, turning is next to impossible, but also very painful when you do try to move it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of just get told you're having surgery tomorrow morning, stay here.
Yeah. I was told to stay here. I had like the neck brace on. I wasn't allowed to get out of bed. I wasn't allowed to move, pretty much do anything. They didn't want that. I guess they didn't want any accidents, obviously. But it was just like one nurse said to me, like, I don't understand. You've been going through this for 6 months, so I'm sure you can get up and go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's easy. Just go to the bathroom because other nurses were like, no, you can't go to the bathroom. You're not allowed to go to the bathroom. You're not allowed to get out of bed. You're not allowed to do anything. One doctor told me that if anything, a small movement of my neck could have caused, like what you said, a quadriplegic, or I would be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like the two things that could happen at any time. He said it without even just knowing it.
Yeah, it'd literally just be a snap thing.
Yeah, and they said they hadn't seen anybody go through have that kind of injury for 6 months, for even 3 days, let alone 6 months. They just thought it was like next to impossible, but it happened. I became very famous at the hospital because nurses and doctors came in to see me, just to, like, not my doctor, not my nurse, to say, so are you the one with the broken neck for 6 months? I'm like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. So, okay, so you have this surgery and they repaired it?
Yeah, they repaired it. Lots of bolts and screws and stuff.
Right. And so does the top of your spine now have like plates and screws to keep everything aligned, or how does that work?
Yeah, it does. And I had to wear the body brace for 6 months.
And what is the body brace?
So the brace came from under my chin right here down to my belly button.
Wow.
And it was like, so like your whole upper body was in a brace. They couldn't allow any kind of movement at all. So this was it. And I wore that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
What was that like?
Uncomfortable. It was itchy. It was hot because we're in the middle of summer. I had surgery June 13th of 2013. So it was hot. And thank goodness I had an AC in my house because I don't know how I would have survived it. But my biggest problem was, well, there was pain, obviously, but is that the brace was very itchy and you can't scratch it.
Right.
So you know what it's like to have an itch and you can't scratch it. It's like torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 months of that.
Yeah. I complained to my doctor. I'm like, I can't deal with this. Like, this thing is so itchy and I can't take it off and I can't scratch the itch. And I think, like, I'm going to go out of my mind. And he gave me medication that will help to not stop the itching, but at least a lot less annoying.
Right.
So.
And how did you shower and like cook and do like daily living with this big brace on?
I didn't. I had another one that took that. This one that I wore all the time was made from foam.
Okay.
So then there was another one that's made from sturdier material, like, you know, the ones you see in the movies.
Right.
So that one I put on when I was going to have a shower. And actually, I didn't do it. I had a PSW that did it, or my daughter helped me put that brace on when I took the one off first and put that one on.
Yeah.
And then have a shower. And then immediately after I have a shower, it's like put the other one back on.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. How did that affect your mental health throughout those 6 months?
I was lonely, sad, depressed, feeling stuck. Like, my daughter lived with me, but she went to school, she went to work. But of course, everybody else is going about their own lives. You know, school, work, brunch, dinner, parties, everything. And I was just stuck at home. It was very lonely. The only person I saw had a PSW that came in every day for 3 hours. So to answer your question about cooking, they cooked. They came in and they would say, "What do you want for breakfast?" They'd make my breakfast. "What do you want for lunch?" Make my lunch. And then my daughter would come and she would make dinner. Mm-hmm. And occasionally people would bring food. Because at first, when you have your accident, lots of people come, lots of people bring food, bring this, that. Eventually, it all starts to taper off, right? Because people have to go about their lives. Then when I had the accident, when I had the surgery, people started coming again, getting some help. My daughter got some help. But eventually, like I said, they taper off and they go about doing their own way. So for me, it's like I had watched a lot of soap operas, watched a lot of Dr. Phil. I was just like, this is not what I want from my life, right? And I literally, every time I went to the doctor, every 6 weeks, I had to follow up to the doctor. And every 6 weeks, I'd go and ask him the same question. So when does the brace come off? And when can I go back to work? Those are my two questions. And then he would say, you have to keep the brace on longer and you can't go back to work. Like, he literally told me basically I should consider myself retired. So.
And how did you manage finances throughout this?
I was getting money from the insurance company.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not, you weren't just left on the sidelines.
No. Okay. They covered, I think it was 70% of your salary. Okay. So you have to do a little less, but it still was better than getting nothing at all.
For sure.
And actually, eventually, I did see a psychologist because, you know, they were worried that I was depressed and things like that, which I was. So I saw a psychologist just to talk about how I was feeling and so that was my weekly outing. Was one day a week I went to see the psychologist. The rest of the week I was at home. PSWs were help. They took me for a walk because I realized I needed to get out of the house. Mm-hmm. But the thing was so hot, and I had to put my clothes on first and put it on top of my clothes.
Right.
And then I had a walker because I couldn't walk on my own. The first day not the first day. When they told me I could go home, I was so excited. I had been lying in the bed for like over 3 weeks, almost a month. And I was so happy I got off the bed, thought I'm going to walk, and boom, landed on the floor. The legs were just not stable and not cooperating. So it's almost like I forgot how to walk. And they had like a exercise gym there, not a workout or anything, but for rehabilitation purposes. They took me there and helped me to walk up and down the stairs because at home I had stairs and they wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to navigate the stairs when I got home. Otherwise, they were going to send me to a rehabilitation center, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go home. So about a month later, I went home.
And where has that experience left you?
You know what? I've learned a lot from that experience. I learned that I was more resilient than I thought, right? I learned that, so I was stronger than I thought I was too. You know, I knew that I could handle adversities because I've been doing it, especially with my health, my whole life. But this just taught me that I can, with God, because I had big faith, rely on God, know that I could get through it. And I knew that I wasn't going to retire. I was going to show the doctor that, yeah, maybe I can't go back to what I was doing before because I was an ECE, worked in a daycare with kids,
Right.
worked in the school board with kids. And so that was not possible anymore. But I had to find a new career, and I did.
And what is this new career? This is, yeah, sorry.
So over 30 years, I had experience working with insurance companies. That was pretty much my goal. I worked in the office administrating, in almost every department of an insurance company. So it so happened that I met somebody who was from a major insurance company, and she proposed to me that I could join the company and be a financial advisor. So that's what I did. So in 2016, I joined the company and as a financial advisor. And up to today, I still have my license as a financial advisor, even though I don't really practice it much anymore.
Right.
Because I found a new vision.
Can you tell me about that?
So throughout my, getting at all the adversities and things I've gone through, I needed support, and I got a lot of support. But I realized that there's other people out there who probably have chronic illnesses and don't have a lot of support. And, they're feeling lonely. The things I told you that I felt, lonely, stuck, despair, unfulfilled, things like that. And some of them might even have a family, a husband, a child, and expected to take care of them, but they can't even take care of themselves. So how can they take care of their family? Mm-hmm. So I want to help women like those, to help them to overcome the challenges and the obstacles that they're facing with their illness.
Nice.
So that was one of the things I wanted to do. Also was offered me to write a book. She was doing a book project with other women, and she wanted me to write one chapter in the book. So each woman wrote one chapter, and that book was called The Courage to Change, and it was released in September of 2019. And then from there, I decided I wanted to write my own book, like a book. So I wrote a book called The Miracle of God, How 30 Seconds Changed My Life Forever. I can show you the cover. So this is the book. And
this will be linked in the description as well for everybody. Can you tell me a little bit about the book? So basically the book starts with my birth. I told you challenges that I had, and my journey with chronic illnesses from then until now. And basically have a comment. There's a focus on the car accident, because the car accident was the 30 seconds that changed my life forever. So that was a big part of the book, and I really enjoyed writing it. And I remember things that I had forgotten that happened in my life, and it helped me to resolve a lot of issues that I had to. Growing up, I think we all have some sort of issues that we just, we haven't gotten over, but we just put it in the back of our mind. Yeah. And then it brought it out to the surface, and I was able to get rid of it and move on. That's amazing. So you've gone through this lifetime of pain and struggle and suffering from all of these chronic illnesses that you really didn't have any control over, right, to now turning this into something where you can help other people. Exactly. What would you say, like, the biggest lesson that you've learned from all of your experiences through this has been? Was there anything that really stood out to you as something that you learned that really helped you? I learned that I'm strong, that I'm resilient. And the biggest thing I learned was that I'm not my diagnosis. I'm not my illness. And that's what I try to, my message is that to anyone who's listening who has chronic illness, that you're not your illness, that you're not your diagnosis. Like, when I meet somebody, they say, hi, my name is Julie, I have fibromyalgia.
It's just like so quick. It's like fibromyalgia. It's a part of you, but it doesn't define you. And you can have an illness that's incurable, but you can also have a fulfilled life with it. I mean, trust me, I'm not saying it's easy because it's not, but I've been through it, and I know that others can do it too.
That's fantastic. I think that's such an important message, Angela, that you are not your diagnosis. There is more to you than just this, right? What do you find the biggest shift for yourself and for the women that you help is when you get kind of over that mental hurdle, when you get over the thought that you are your illness? Like what really begins to change at that point?
I would say relief, and it gives you like a new lease on life that, hey, I can do something. I can fulfill my goals that I abandoned. You might have to shift your goals a bit, but you can achieve your goals. You can take care of your family. You know, I was just, through all my health challenges, I was married, then I was divorced, and then I was a single mom. But I was a single mom, and I still had all these challenges that I had to go through. That I had to take care of my daughter. A lot of people thought that I couldn't do it, but I proved them wrong that you can do it.
So how did you keep pushing forward throughout all of this? Because it sounds like every time, you kind of got your feet under you, life came in and said, nope.
Yes.
How do you move forward?
I thought about what I had to lose and what I had to gain. I knew when I was a single mom, I knew that I had to take care of my daughter. That was my biggest thing, that no matter what, I had to take care of her, make sure that she, had the necessities of life and a happy life as well. And she's been my motivation throughout everything I've gone through. Even now, even when I was an adult and I had the accident and she was already an adult, my motivation was still her, because I wanted to show her that she can get to any challenge. She puts her mind to it. And now, even that's still my goal too, is for my daughter to see that you can overcome. My nephew asks as me, he goes, how do you do it? So he said to me one day, and I go, how do I do what? And he goes, survive all these near-death experience and still moving, still thriving.
Yeah.
So he's asked me, and I'm like, well, I just gotta keep going, getting through the challenge, just gotta keep going. You have to have a reason. What's your why? And for me, my why was my daughter. So everybody has to have a why. Why do you want to get better? Why do you want to be able to move and, do other things? My daughter had always wanted me to write a book, and I did it. I ended up with 2 books. So
yeah, that's amazing. I think what an important message that is, because we can often get hung up by, really, like, being real here, inconsequential things can often get and totally derail people, myself included. I'm not free of that, but it's really inspiring to look at the real challenges in life that could be, and to see people like yourself that just say, nope, we're moving through this. Failure is just not an option.
Not an option.
Yeah. Fantastic. So is there any other advice that you would give to someone who's maybe right now they're struggling with something that's going on in their life and they can't seem to get the ball rolling?
I would say ask for help. I know for myself with chronic illness, sometimes you don't want to ask for help because you feel like you don't want to be a burden to others. And that was a big thing for me too. I didn't want to be a burden. And at times when I did need help, I didn't ask for help. So I'm just encouraging to ask for help. Because you know what? People do want to help you. Sometimes their hands are tied. They just don't feel like they know what to do to help you, because they try to help you and then it backfires or whatever. So they're just like, okay, what do we do? How do I help you? I can't help you. I don't know what to do. So that was the biggest thing I would say, ask for help.
Yeah, awesome. I think that again is a very important message. We can often be so afraid to ask for help. And I think that when we step back and think about it, basically everyone enjoys helping. And each person that's listening to this, I would encourage you to think, how it feels for you to help someone else and understand that that's basically a universal feeling. Often people just don't know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a gift to give to other people, is to allow them to help you.
And like I said, it's not easy. I'm very bad at asking for help because I just don't want to be a burden. But you know what? When I try to do something by myself and like, let's say I want to reach something really high on the top of the cupboard, right? Now, like you could look up and reach up and get what you want. I can't do that. So I need to ask someone to help me. But I choose to do it myself, so I struggle to do it and I fall or something falls on top of my head. Then, okay, then you're so embarrassed. Okay, whatever. Like you could also get hurt. So what was the lesson in that? Ask somebody for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So my next question is not for you, Angela, but for our listeners. And it's, what are you going to do now? What would change in your life? What would become possible if you applied these lessons to your life? Yeah. What would happen? I think often we're very afraid to make change, but there's a lot of lessons to be learned from people like yourself, Angela, who have gone through and continue to go through and stay strong throughout it. We can all learn from it.
Exactly.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I just want to say, if you're having challenges and struggles and you don't have anybody in your life that can help you, or you can always reach out to me because I'm always ready to help anyone who's in need.
Awesome. And Angela, your website, your socials will be in the description of this podcast. So anyone who wants to reach out to Angela, please check the description, and all the means to do so will be in there. There will be, and then your books are also on your website, you said, right?
Okay. Yes, that's correct.
So if you found this podcast beneficial, please consider subscribing and sharing this episode with just one person that you know, so that they can benefit from it too. And we will see you back here with another episode next time.